Hi, everyone. My name is Denise. I'm a health freedom advocate in San Joaquin County in the state of California, and I am co-founder of Freedom Angels.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heidi. I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I am also a co-founder of Freedom Angels.
Hi, I'm Tara in the Northern Sierra Nevadas of California, co-founder of Freedom Angels.
Thank you for tuning in. Every day, Monday through Friday, we have a live at 5 where we discuss freedom and liberty. Please share this video or start a watch party because censorship has begun to really take a toll on our page. We are going to talk about, all of the things that are happening with this virus and the government overreaching. And what we've been talking about is the pushback. How are we going to resist? How are we going to get involved in telling that these people know we're healthy? Why are you quarantining us? Why are you infringing on our constitutional rights? And this weekend, we had such a great opportunity to see Connecticut, Hartford, Connecticut. His name, Dr. Aaron Lewis, pastor of Family Church. And I know, Tara, you had communication there. So you want to start us off with that?
Incredible. Yesterday on Palm Sunday in Hartford, Connecticut, Pastor Aaron Lewis was in a park giving a sermon to members of, his parishioner and the community that wanted to stand in support of the freedom, of religious freedoms. And he really spoke on not only the sovereignty of the church, but the importance of gathering, the importance of, gathering in person, and also about how, people are being tricked into believe that the government can take something from you that is your God-given right. That, these are your human rights, your God-given rights, which is what is protected by our Constitution. That's what makes the United States of America's Constitution like a guiding light, one of the guiding lights in the entire world. And, and he spoke on the only thing that government can take away from you is the power that you give them through the elected official process, but they can't take these innate rights. And he spoke on the power of prayer, the power of your belief in your faith. And he gave a challenge to other religious leaders, especially those of the Christian faith, as next Sunday is one of the most holy days in Christianity, which is Resurrection Sunday or Easter Sunday, is to open the doors of your church and have service, follow hygienic protocols, follow what you need, only go if you're well, and to kind of challenge other religious leaders to use their moral voice, to own the moral responsibility they have as religious leaders to do so.
Sorry, there's a delay. Or you were muted, Denise. You're muted. Oops. Denise.
I should say that was an act of, civil disobedience in this climate that we're in, where it shouldn't be. I think the key parts of the sermon from the pastor is that religion is essential. That, you can say the grocery stores and Target and a liquor store is essential, but, by every measure, religion, no matter what it might be, is fundamentally essential to the human soul, to the human existence. And that, a call out is also to all governors who may or may not have, to reassess what their executive orders are around that. Is Denise's working now?
I somehow disabled her video, she says. I don't know what to do. Keep talking, Tara, while I try and do the behind the scenes. I'm so sorry. This is crazy.
That's okay.
Can you hear me?
No worries. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. As long as you can hear me, that's fine. That's okay. As long as you can hear me. All right. I don't know what happened. My mute button wouldn't come off, and I couldn't get my audio to work. So sorry, guys. but yeah, I'm sorry, Tara, go ahead and continue.
Do you want to talk, Denise, while Heidi's doing that?
Oh, sure. I have been trying to reach out to as many churches as I possibly can. And, we're not trying to say, go out when sick or what is happening. I'm sorry. This is
there you
crazy. There I am.
You're back.
I have no idea what's going on with this. My
Okay.
phone keeps flipping. Anyway, so I'm hoping that these churches do get involved, especially at a time like Easter. We are not, like we keep saying, practice good hygiene, wash your hands. If you feel like you're sick, stay home. But we are healthy people. And at this time with our religion, this is a very important time to be together and worship and praise. And instead we are having the churches too scared to stand up. Thankfully, we now have pastors and other churches getting involved, but this should be a national call to action for churches to stand up and say, we are trying to be responsible. We ask you to act responsibly, but we are going to open our doors, or we're going to open our parking lots, something to be there together and worship with the people that we feel comfortable worshiping with. What we're seeing is a straight attack on Christianity, on religion, on churches. And this is a time to start standing up and saying, this is a line. We now have a line, and we're going to hold it. I'm waiting.
No, and
let's talk about other people. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I agree as well completely. It was so refreshing to see Reverend Lewis out there on Sunday. It was one of the best services I've ever watched online. Obviously, I'm in California. I couldn't be here in Connecticut. But it is the model for other pastors to start using. So thank you. Thank you, Reverend Lewis, for giving other pastors a model. Okay, move on.
Resistance, other forms of resistance. Denise, you want to start on that?
No, I wasn't ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
Oh.
Go ahead, Heidi.
I did want to just bring up the Costco piece. So we have somebody here in California. Her name is Andrea, and she has quite a story to tell. And maybe one day we'll. So anyways, just keeping it brief. The point is, she's a mother. She has 4 children. Costco has instituted a policy where, effective basically immediately or within the next couple of days, only 2 people per membership are allowed in the store. So again, we talked about this the other day. What are people supposed to do with kids with special needs or large families? There's 100 reasons why children need to be in with their caregiver. Well, today, Andrea made it all the way to the CEO of Costco. She was able to spend 20 minutes on the phone with him. And while it was horrific what he told her, he said, too bad. Basically, he told her to shove it. So everybody, you guys, we'll post a link to Andrea and what she did. The number is still there. You guys can call as well. But that is an example of how we resist. We can't wait for somebody else to do it. That's a mom of 4 kids who is like, what can I do? I'm gonna make it my mission to get to the CEO of Costco, and she did today, guys. And so it's not good news. They're not changing their policy, but that everybody has to hit from every possible angle so that we can find that ground where we all come together.
Right, and we want to, we're being cattled over to these big box stores, to the Walmarts and Targets and these Costco's, to where we are begging them to take our money so we can get these items. This is a time of sacrifice. They want us to sacrifice. Well, let's sacrifice and vote with our dollar. How about we start getting business from these little MLM company, moms who are trying to support their families because they're not out in the business world, or these small mom and pop shops on Etsy and all these other places. We have to start voting with our money, and this is how we resist. If they don't want our money and our children in there because sometimes we have no choice, well, then we'll go somewhere else.
And absolutely, yes, we should be voting for our dollar, but we also need to be mindful of these larger families who are on a limited income, and for them, Costco was the most economical place for them to shop. So then we need to rise up and realize, hey, we need to start linking up. who is a
Yep.
family in need right now, and we as a community need to come together to help make sure their needs are met. Whether we're giving them cash so that they can then go into the store themselves, or we're buying it for them, but this is how we're going to come together. Please, 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 if you have a farmer's market or a small local business, more than ever, we need to be supporting them. And like the other day, my neighbor brought over extra bananas. Like, I didn't tell her anything. She didn't do it. You know what I mean? It was just out of the kindness of her heart. Today, when we were driving, Jameson saw somebody who looked like they were in need, and I saw them too. And I kept thinking, like, should I not? Should I? And then he just said, Mommy, that man really looks like he needs help. Can we go give him money? And we did. We pulled over, we pulled out some cash, we gave it to him, and we just said, hey, sir, we just wanted to bless your day. And you know what? That's what this is about, guys. This is not about, they're trying to control us.
Yeah.
We fight back with love, like expanding love. I don't need to control that guy and say, hey, you can only get a gas card, or I'm only walking you into the store because I think you're going to use it on alcohol, or I think you're going to use it on something. You know what I mean? Like, we got to get out of that swirl of controlling people's money, their energy. Let's give.
And on the point of the big box stores and the small, we know that the small and medium businesses are under enormous pressure right now, that many of them will not open. And we've been talking about also about how in various states, and whether across the state or locally, seeds and plants are not being allowed for sale. So really, I wanted to kind of bring up a point again of, like, we need to take control of our food supply. Like, we need to take control of what we grow and can grow ourselves, but also we can reach out into our communities to small farmers. This is even beyond farmers markets. You can do it through farmers markets, but you know who the medium-sized dairies are. You know who the different, you can find out who are the different food producers in the area, and you can reach out to them and say, and you can start to organize around that. How can we help you? What can we do? What can we buy from you? What can we organize as a chain, our own chain of getting your product out to people that might need it? Because what's happened is the chain has been broken. Like, when you've seen the stories recently of, like, dairies that have been asked to dump 2 days worth of milk, which is an enormous amount, like an enormous amount. They're being told, like, reduce feed so that we can get production down by 7% by everybody in our dairy association. It's because the production facilities can't manufacture, like, package it for various reasons. Either their orders have diminished from schools and institutions and the like, or their staffing is variable now, that, like, if people end up even having a very mild case of COVID that they've recovered from, they're out of the workforce for 14 days, and anyone that they might have been in touch with. So it's on us. This is where we say we take control. It's on us to reach back out into our communities and say, how is that medium-sized farm or that local dairy? Why don't I reach out to them and see what are their needs? What ways can we get creative and think outside of, the normal box, and find ways to keep them alive, to keep these small and medium businesses alive?
Yeah. And, if you are a farmer in, California, and you want to be a part of something like this, I mean, this is something that we can take on as an organization as well, like connect people. We have this farm here. This is how we're going to start shuffling people to these farms and cutting out the middleman, where we don't need them, really. We can, if we do this on our own and we really make a commitment to start supporting our community the way that it should be done, we'll be okay. But they hiked up the price of eggs, hiked up the price of milk while telling them to throw away the product. We know there's tons of chicken farms around here, and now I have to pay $6 for 18 pack of eggs.
Well, what I don't think people understand is happening, the government is removing the subsidy. That's why the milk is being dumped. That is going to send a ripple effect everywhere. For decades upon decades, the government has been controlling our food supply through subsidizing GMO crops and the dairy industry. And so now we are going to feel the pain of that. And that is why more than ever, We need to come together in communities. Yes, you can email us at freedomangels@protonmail.com. We would love to help. But another place, the organization that's already ready to help with this is the Weston A. Price Foundation. They already work with farmers and co-ops. So that's a great worldwide organization that already exists, that people can start tapping into too, because our food supply, it's coming, it's shrinking. Anybody who thinks this is about a virus and not about control has not gone into a grocery store with eyes wide open. Have you guys noticed there's not even the organic selection of food? It's not even in a box store right now. You cannot find it. It's like the choices are this big, but what is widely available in the freezer section? GMO vegetables.
There's nothing in the organic section.
Let's talk about we're getting already 18 minutes through. Let's talk about some of the resistance that's going on. And then I want to bring up the Navarro piece and the New York City ER doc.
Okay, so we know that South Dakota governor has not ordered the shelter in place, saying, citing constitutional rights. And then we also have services were held in Idaho from the Bundy family, who was a resistance for their property. They held a prayer service and they invited the whole community to show up. I mean, these are other forms of resistance, but I also know, the Michigan Rally Caravan. I don't have too much information on that, Tara. You might have to take that.
We'll put that up tomorrow. I mean, we'll put that up on the link, but tomorrow in Michigan, part of the Freedom Movement is having a caravan around the state capitol. And we'll link that so that right now, some of the ways that a lot of different organizations are mobilizing to do protests during this time is caravans or car rallies, whether they be around, various institutional and government agencies. And we'll link some of the ones that are already happening, set up, but these are reproducible models that we can do everywhere. And so we'll share that, and we'll share the link from Idaho too. And it's very interesting because there's about 8 Republican governors right now who have resisted changing the orders from a recommended shelter in place to a order of a shelter in place. And it's a very, very significant, position to take, because you're still saying we can do all these pieces. We can preserve liberties and freedoms. We can, prevent infections and limit infections and promote hygienic practices and keep society functioning and keep civil rights and human rights intact and constitutional rights. So we should also link something about some of those governors, because they're getting hard hit back on what Friday or Saturday President Trump had one of his press conferences, and one of the reporters kept hammering him about why aren't you telling these 8 governors to order the shelter in place? And he said, because it's still, such a thing as a constitution. And I believe
they asked him again today.
The governor's right to make this decision.
Yeah, they asked him again today.
Of course. The pressure is hard.
Yes, and so many people don't understand. The people need to realize it is the state and then the federal government. It is so important to work locally, to work with your state officials, to work with these people who, the people have voted in and the people who pay for, but the federal government cannot tell these states per the Constitution what to do, what kind of shutdowns to do. So it's important, like we've been telling you, to call your sheriff, call your public health officer, call your Office of Emergency Services, call all your local county leaders, and put the pressure on them. And start asking the questions. What is your position on, re-entering, opening up the workforce, opening up the economy? Because like we've been saying, we're trying to fight this tracking system. This is an all around full circle surveillance that they are going to have on us. And unless we start getting involved locally, this is how you're going to re-enter the workforce.
So yeah, I did want to do a shout out to the Tennessee governor, guys. Everybody should take note. The Tennessee governor, when asked why he hasn't put a mandated shelter in place, he said, and I quote, "This is not a mandated shelter in place order because it remains deeply important to me to protect personal liberties. So Tennessee's Governor Lee, he is also somebody who's modeling for everybody else how to balance the two. So we definitely, as a freedom movement, we need to all, from every corner of our country, come in and support Governor Lee in Tennessee right now.
These people are playing important roles, because right now we have people who are like Bill Gates, who's making these decisions on how to re-enter society, when to bring back the economy. And then we have James Bullard, the CEO of the Federal Reserve, did an interview, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's his quote: "Universal testing, and then you wear a badge. This would immediately sort out who's been infected, but it would also help the economy because we would interact with each other in confidence." So these people who we did not elect into office, who none of us have given permission to make any kinds of laws or policies, are now deciding on policies and telling us that we need to wear a badge to go out in public. I mean, but these governors who are standing up are so key to this freedom, because then, Tara, I know you're going to talk about soon, you're going to talk about the New Jersey governor, what he said.
Well, actually, I was going to, but first I'll talk about what real leadership looks like in government, which is in Colorado, and we'll link this too, is a bunch of House of Representative, I believe mostly, I haven't actually looked at the full name list. The ones I recognize are all Republican, which would kind of make sense. But they sent a letter to Governor Jared Polis asking for transparency, really, for data on the process, saying that, people are hurting and wanting to go back to work, and you're not being transparent and clear on the data that you're using to make your decisions and what even these decisions look like. So what you're seeing is what we've been all talking about and wanting is the pushback. This is how you push back. This is how you demand transparency and inclusion in the process. Bill Gates, Fauci, all these guys, they don't get to decide. They are right now, but they don't get to decide if we don't let them. And one of the local pushbacks you can do, and we'll link this idea too, is that when we're talking about going hyper local at the county level and such, is a lot of counties right now are developing. If you go to your county website, they all have every county in the state, in the country has websites, and go to it and you'll see there's like updates on COVID and this and that. But you may or may not see that there is in the county COVID-19 business task forces being developed. A lot of these are the community leaders we're talking about: business leaders, industry leaders, nonprofit leaders, some elected officials, some county officials. These are the ones where people are interfacing at the county level. And those are the people you want to get to. These are the processes you want to be involved in, because those are the ones that we're going to be asking to demand, accountability and data, and the position that we will and will not allow for how this unfolds. So we'll link some more about that. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow, when we can go more into that, because that's a very real way of now we're able to see who and how to push on. And we'll come up with, we have some questions we're putting together for that you can help with that, bring that to places like this. And if your county doesn't have one, we can show you how, through boards of supervisors and community or city leaders, that you can request that these business task force be formed as a tool that we can use through them to get more accountability here. And so that speaks to what, the Colorado piece is what good leadership looks like. And then we have an example of what, what the worst kind of, it's not even leadership. This is just insanity. Governor Murphy of New Jersey tweeted today a picture of an old picture from I think World War II, I'm not sure, carrying some soldiers carrying a donkey on their back, saving one. And he said, to all the jackasses out there who we now have to carry, get with the program. We know who you are, and we will not relent until we have 100% compliance. Well, first of all, what is he even talking about? And I mean, what, really? Oh, really? Just what the hell are you talking about there? And is that how you talk to your citizens? That's how you talk to people? I mean, I can go off on that.
Go ahead, Heidi.
I was just going to say, I have to rescind what I said last week when we were talking about the president in the Philippines. And Denise said, in New Jersey specifically, they declared war on us. And I said, oh,
Yeah.
they did. She's right. And I linked the article, and they did. And they're continuing to show that they are going to declare war. This is war.
This is war. We have the United States military on our, on American soil using their, using their status against American citizens. This is war. And when he declared that, when New Jersey won, it was a clear indication on exactly what kind, Sweeney, exactly what kind of government that we're facing. We're facing the government like the Philippines. I do not think it is too far-fetched. I think these people have taken their power that we gave them and completely abused it by threatening American citizens with something like this. They do know where we're at. They're tracking us with our smartphones. They know exactly what we're doing, where we're at every moment of the day. And you have him telling the world of Twitter, and people applaud it.
So I want to say, like, what might be the single most important thing that we can all do for, like, we're all like, what can we do? How do we resist this? How do we push back? The single most important thing is to have that conversation inside yourself, and then with the most immediate people in your family and in your life, of where is your line? What will you accept? What will you not accept? Understand, this is suiting up. You're suiting up because we are in a war, and how this is going to be handled, how we come out of this, and how society looks. This is in our hands. We have this power. Right now, we've all, are following in varying degrees the rules of what has been imposed on us, but we get to the future is in our hands, and we get to decide. And that starts with ourselves. Where is your line? What are you willing to accept and not accept? And figure that out with your family. If they go this far, where are we going to resist? What does resistance look like for us? Does this look like, going and talking to who and standing in front of what business, and going and talking to who in our community? And does it include leaving and going to counties or states that are holding a different line? Because this is very much, could become about free states and free counties battling back against, different dictates and mandates. So that's probably the single most important preparedness. Everyone talks about bug out kits. That's the single most important conversation that you can have with yourself and your immediate family and such, I think.
Yeah, you're correct. So we are at 5:30, right, Heidi?
Yes, we are. I want to
we didn't even talk about Navarro. So Peter Navarro, over the weekend, there was a Corona task force meeting led by Pence with, Fauci and Bricks there and everything. And this is incredible, you guys. So Peter Navarro's tasked, he's an economic advisor, and he's tasked with making sure that the government can procure what they need for products from, the private sector and other countries and such. And he was in a meeting this weekend, and it was being discussed with how enthusiastically will the White House recommend the use of hydroxychloroquine. And he basically was saying to the crowd, Peter Navarro was saying that, there's clear, his quote is, clear therapeutic efficacy of hydroxychloroquine in treating COVID. And Fauci starts talking about how, it's anecdotal, this is anecdotal. And apparently this was leaked by a couple of people that were in the room. And so there's an article on it, and then some of them appeared on the news. Peter Navarro went like ballistic, and he slammed a stack of research down in front of Fauci on the table and said, this is science, not anecdote. And basically what this whole thing, is showing is why Fauci the governor, various governors, like Governor Newsom, for example, in California. We quoted him as saying last week in one of his lives that, the only real treatment is ventilators. No, that is palliative care. That is not therapeutics. So really what the battle we're seeing here, and we've been talking about this whole time, is why are they blocking the use of early use of therapeutics that are known and effective, and trying everything they can to, heal people and treat people early on before they get into the hospital. Now we've been already talking, we all know all the reasons behind it. But this piece with Navarro is really important and really interesting. And then we'll also link and talk more tomorrow about a video from the ER doc. What's his name? Kyle Siddell, where he is been observing and working in New York in these ICU cases for like 9 days, seeing that patients on ventilators, these are the ones in extreme distress, far along in COVID-19, and that they're seeing that instead of it looking like ARDS, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome, he's seeing it look more like HAPE, which is high altitude pulmonary embolism, or what looks more like mountain, like a altitude sickness, where it's more about oxygen, and as opposed to the mechanical functionings. So he's questioning the whole modality that's being used for treating patients in the hospital on this. And he is challenging all the caregivers, all those bedside, from nurses to doctors to technicians, to really get into super clinical mode and don't just buy what you're being told about this. Start getting clinical and get your thinking caps on and see what is making sense and what isn't, and make decisions on if, the early use of ventilators don't line up as the best treatment plan if it's not ARDS, and that's what they're seeing. So I really wish we'd had more time to talk about that. I could spend the whole time talking about those two pieces.
Well, we can probably touch on that another day this week.
Talk more tomorrow.
No, I definitely want to talk about it, because I had a baby in the NICU and I know how to read those monitors about the oxygen stat levels. And a lot of people know how to read those monitors, but we're not getting access into those hospitals. And there's a very specific reason for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
the advocates.
We are at our 30 minutes. We should.
Can we end with that quote from Toby that's so freaking incredible?
I don't have it in front of me. Go ahead.
End. Oh, I got it. Okay, so Toby Rogers, PhD on Twitter, made this yesterday, and this is the vision to hold, because this is, again, how we move forward is in our hands. We choose, but we have to fight for it. But this is what his tweet was. This does not end with this does not end with untested vaccines, microchips, and show me your antibody test checkpoints. This ends with a Nuremberg tribunal where pharma executives are prosecuted for crimes against humanity.
I love Toby.
Mm-hmm.
He's always so on point with his information. I mean, this is really what it is. It's crimes against humanity. Yeah. So we're going to pick that up tomorrow.
Yep.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yep.
We have a YouTube channel called Freedom Angels where all of our videos get posted up in case Facebook continues to censor us. Our email address is freedomangels@protonmail.com if you have any questions. We appreciate the watch parties and the shares. We're trying to break that, that censorship happening for our page. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock California time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.